Welcome. Another in video production. Yes, so the following is a walk and talk video. And yeah, I don't know if it was one of my best actually, but I'm going to post it anyway. So I just thought I'd give you this fair warning that, I was a little buggy this morning. Yeah, mostly. So anyway, here it is. Video. What the hell? Yeah, walking to. Yes, have to do a little work today, so talk about the economy a little, maybe. Maybe. And, yeah, Piero was yammering somewhere near the subject, but of course it was only near it, and so not too useful. Damn it. I was hoping somebody else would have fixed this. Shit. So, anyway, I guess this video will have to wait. Thank you very much. Alright. Yeah, I decided I'd do that on the way back, maybe. Yeah, new attitude. I didn't have time, really. Stream. Anyway, tree crossing instead. There's still snow here. This unfortunately makes too much noise. That's a little icy too. Anyway, these are all relevancies. Yeah. So, the simple, just get as simple as you can. Economics, and it's about this ownership thing. The ownership of the means of production, or what could be called the surplus. And you can sort of just understand that if surplus ownership of it, or ownership of the means of production, is allowed to accrue interest and then pass on generation to generation, and it can really has mostly upward potential, more up potential than down potential, that you're eventually going to have kings and monarchs and noblemen and all that stuff. You're going to have an elite class that'll end up inheriting position and ownership. And that's what we have. The rich of today, the super wealthy, are in fact more wealthy than the kings of the past. They have such a huge claim to the monetary system, the everything that measures value, in a sense, the commodities, and they just rent them to the peasants, the serfs, the whatever you want to call them, the people, and so the people get a tiny little percentage of the value, and the increase just keeps going to the owners and their spawn. And that's the economy. we never escaped monarchy. We just call it something else. Capitalism. But it's the same thing. And the only the thing that makes it all possible to go all wrong, to create all this inflated value, and to create the necessity for the poor to keep renting, keep living on the mortgage, to keep just to be perpetually in debt, is this inheritance thing. It just completely breaks anything called a fair fight, and it destroys all the conservative principles. So the economy isn't running on a conservative monetary system, or using physics jargon, conservative would be balanced. Something that has accounted for inputs and outputs. No unsustainable curves allowed. So you just break conservative rules by allowing inheritance, because you never you never put things back where they belong. You're always left with a game already used. Probably a better way to say that. It's already a claim made. So what most people don't understand is that the monetary system, the money, isn't that terribly broken. Inflation over time has been higher than it probably needed to be, but you need some inflation to keep people from hoarding cash. So inflation is not a bad thing, a little bit. But it's this interest over inflation that's the bad thing. The profit on merely owning that's where all the gains for the wealthy come from. And that's where all the debt money is created. And the debt money is, what the stock market's made out of, and everything's made out of it. In the sense there's all these claims on real hard currency. But the real currency is a very small amount of money, the real money. And the rest of it is just banknotes that everybody trusts because, generally speaking, they're cashable. And it's not until they become uncashable, then you're in trouble. And so, there's obvious charts that demonstrate that we're just in other ways insane cycles. The 1929 mountain of debt, and now we have a mountain even higher, by percentage of economic productivity. It's got to be there's got to be the debt jubilee of the crash, and that's bad news for a lot of people, especially the people who played a good game, and didn't borrow, didn't do all that stuff. They're going to get killed, and the people who ruined the game, broke it by borrowing too much, they're going to get off the hook. I can argue that it's sort of inevitable, but they have put it off, the inevitable, for a couple of decades at least. But there really is no way to pay the money. So the rich's percentage of ownership is not going to decline unless the working class and the poor realize that they have to fix it by voting to fix it, to create a mechanism to get the money back into the economy, the real economy, instead of the debt economy, to create a buyer's market instead of a renter's market. And it really is a renter's market. We could say that people are buying houses. They're not buying houses. They're buying mortgages that are as bad as rental agreements in the past. They suck as an arrangement in terms of how much money you're going to pay for the value you're getting, the real value. So it's really the mechanisms. It sounds almost so obvious that you're saying, well, why should this even be something anyone economically has to argue about? That it's a bad idea, to allow inheritance to run the world, to allow most, and I mean most, in the real sense of the word, most of the capital to be possessed without anyone doing any work whatsoever, just by being born into it. That's not a good idea. And it just devalues work. It just creates another class of extremely unproductive people. As bad as the welfare whore is, the lazy rich are grotesque consumers. One rich person In 1 year probably consumes more labor, in terms of luxuries, than 1,000 welfare recipients, including their children. Not that I want to give the poor any breaks and say they're not a horrible blight, because they are, and they should know it, but they have no excuse for their reckless reproduction, their reckless imposition of burden on working people to pay for their choice, their ignorance, their mistakes. But it does come down to there's productive people and there's unproductive people. The poor are unproductive, and the non-working poor, and so are the rich. They're two ends of the same slop, and all they are is leeches on the workers. And the irony is, as fewer and fewer people have real viable employment, living wage kind of thing, that voting block just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And the interested party of the poor who want to be paid just to breathe and eat, are going to outnumber, combined with the rich, the class doing all the productive labor, which is just kind of obscene. But again, the real problem is the hoarding, the possession of the economy by the people like the Trumps, the inherent wealthy. They don't add value. They're not productive. All they're doing is hoarding hours, millions of hours of labor that has to be done just to feed their pocketbook. And then they can waste some percentage of it, on their luxury lifestyles. And that has to come out of the productive worker's paycheck, because there is no other productivity to take it out of. Progress itself. And so the regular working person won't see any of that value. But it's just so obvious a cheat. I'm just saying, I just can't believe that this is an argument you even have to make to people, that you don't go into a game, any game ever, with legacy gold medals. You don't let the son and daughters of the gold medal winners at the Olympics just show up and stand on the podium and say, "Medal, please." You force them to earn it, and earn it just like everybody else. Not earn it with huge head starts and changes in where the finish line is, or they play by a different rule. They only have to run the marathon in 12 hours, not 3 or 2. And for people not to recognize that cheat can't possibly be good for this game, that I have to actually argue this over and over again, that cheat is the complete destruction of the game, because the thing that will save the game is the fact that you put the gold medal back on the shelf and you say, earn it. And that's what creates incentives in the economy for people to earn it. Okay, and that's where the economy profits. That's where we gain real productivity without being slaves. That's where we do it by volition, not by servitude. And that's what it is now. Now we're under the whip. We're not being driven by carrots. We're being driven by the whip of being destitute ain't going to be no fun. And that's it. Do your slave duty or die. And that's the real world. And it sucks. And it's so easy to fix by just saying, let's not play a cheater's game. How big a head start? $1 million. Let's say you get $1 million head start. Isn't that way over enough? The game's still playable with that head start, but it isn't playable if people can inherit multi-hundreds of millions or billions. How you doing? That's an unplayable game then. Unplayable in any kind of rational way. It's certainly playable, but yeah, the outcome is going to be known. Winner going in, winner going out. The end. Loser going in, loser going out. So, you want to keep sentencing your children to struggle. Keep voting for it, idiots. People are just so obnoxiously stupid. Ugh. God, you really I'm almost turning into the amazing atheist, because I've never seen the human race as such fucking bugs as I have done in the last month or two. You are fucking bugs. You're just disgusting little stupid, ignorant fucking twatty bugs. You're so fucking dumb. I mean, this whole physics art, the bit where, you know, you probably don't need to watch this bit because, yeah, it was a little bit insane. But anyway, watch it anyway because it's part of the video. But anyway, yeah, a little insane. I just made it so obvious. You're all religious, dumb, kooky, silly turds. You know, oh, bit space is holding me on the earth. Oh, yeah, that sounds rational. So anyway, I wish there was a lighter note, but it really isn't. I mean, now, I have to cross the stream again, but this is a much smaller one. Anyway, enough. I'm not in the mood for this, but tough shit. As I live in the rich man's world. Money, money, money. It's so funny in the rich man's world. Yeah. Your own bitch. Might as well cut your throat, because they'll get you one way or another. And oh, hole in my boot. Yeah, that one. Ew. That was a little ew. Anyway, till next time. And such. Lovely roots here. Really is going to be a not terrible day. February. Really not bad. Anyway, till later. Alright. Puro video.
And there's some Christian ones actually. People making really nice looking games. Here's David.
Oh, Skyzer's in the room. Eek. Games. Now they're back on games again. No, Davey. Yeah.
Well, it's successful, and I have $10 million to make it free.
If you use Unity, you need the Unity plugin.
Yeah. No, I know. So, but I mean, you can do so much. If I make a little 2D game or a fancy,
I do. That never happened.
Is people put it under their TV, on their TV tray, not in their office. That's a huge thing. So that's why it's become so popular. We watch all our Amazon and Netflix on the fucking Xbox, PlayStation.
Ugh. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I guess it's a video game talk show. Eek. Jumping ahead. 44 minutes.
Well,
I remember he hated Nintendo.
It was like United Artists. United Artists.
Still talking about games. Okay. 54 minutes.
They want, but if somebody drops the ball and doesn't care about Alphabet anymore, then let me fucking play Alphabet.
Oh dear. Okay. Yes, it all should be public domain and all that stuff eventually. Yes, of course.
The minimum that people would accept, and the reason is because the rent takes the money first, then capitalists and the labor's weaker of that.
Rent is capitalist, by the way. You didn't notice? Yeah, that's an industry. It's a for-profit business, renting.
Both of them have to take what's left over from the rent, and rent, instead of a $500 apartment when I was a kid in New York, it's $3,500, and you have no choice but to pay it, and that's the tax. We're paying a tax to individuals, and all they have to do, you know, communists might hate capital.
Yeah, again, yes, but the whole idea is that it should be earned by each individual. Just this legacy ownership just breaks the game. It's that simple. I mean, this isn't even a complex. Anybody should be able to understand what cheating is, and legacy ownership is just cheating. Fuck. It's the easiest way to fix the system, because you put everything back on the shelf, and then people have to buy it with, you know, their capital. And so prices can't get crazy because we don't have to pay this the shortage tax. You know, we don't have to pay because everything is in short supply, because everything goes back on the shelf, and real money will have to buy it. All the businesses go on the shelf. Everything goes back on the shelf. It restocks the store. Obviously, if you restock the store, prices might go down because, yeah, there won't be a shortage anymore. Idiot. Play a little more.
But the capitalist is actually giving you the fucking printing press. He could have sold the printing press, bought some rabbits, and had 50 times the number of rabbits by the time he got his printing press back, and eaten the rabbits. So of course he deserves some money for
well, again, no, he doesn't. So you just don't get it, all right? If you think there's deserve in not producing something but merely making people pay to use it, then you're an idiot, pretty much. I mean, if surplus can it gains interest, as soon as you allow that to happen, workers have to pay for it. And that just accelerates the non-labor production of ownership. It's not what you want. You want labor to produce ownership rights. You want productive work to produce ownership value, entitlement, not legacy and not leisure. These things should not be profitable. Yes, surplus should not be profitable. Shouldn't lose money. It just shouldn't be profitable.
Owning you this value.
Anyway, I'll move it up because if he's just going to make excuses for capitalism, he's an idiot. But we already know that.
Rude term about working class people. But then again, these guys were running their campsite, you know, that way with cigarette butts, and it's just fucking trash. So I have a lot of sympathy for these guys, even though I totally disagree. And I have no sympathy for the Bundy family. But I mean, like, those last people that were there, it's economic distress. It doesn't get along.
I don't know what the Bundy family is, but whatever. Moving on.
Something on it, but really, it's not worth taking seriously. I've always felt that though I disagree with antinatalism, it's worth taking seriously. But now I'm wondering, I mean, is it just as boneheaded as the idea that I'll tell you how, you know, optics works?
Well, the thing is,
well, I have to go back and see how they got to this. So I guess Piro thinks that gravitational lensing, that it's okay. You don't the image doesn't have to be in the lens, and the lens doesn't have to have real gravity. You just need any old gravity will do. Idiot. But I mean, to mix the two subjects, it's just, you know, he's too stupid to figure out they're two different subjects. The subject isn't Gary. The subject is the subjects with the arguments being made. You know, he's Piro. Of course he's too stupid.
you have to be alive, right? And I mean, I know you know this, right? Then because when you lose a loved one, right? Yes, it's the worst thing you can possibly fucking imagine. It just is, right? But there's still
there is. See, that's just bullshit rhetoric, okay? It's not the worst thing you can imagine. You can imagine a lot worse. It's how you lose somebody. Yes, yes, watching your father get maybe eaten by piranha or something. You know, but there's probably worse. You know, Probably.
You know, it did its job, blah 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 blah. You know, there's all these positives, good memories and all that shit.
Yeah, whatever. This is all la-di-da, poofter bullshit. You're just addicts justifying your addictions, and that's all it is. You think you're winning because you're an idiot. No other reason. You're retarded. It's a special fucking Olympics. You think you're all doing something wonderful, and you're just pooing your pants, fucker.
And they will always last. But, okay, people die. People die every day, man.
Yeah, who cares? This happens, that happens. Horrible, horrible, terrible, terrible. Who cares? Whatever. So what? I can impose more of that. I know it's worth it. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're a competent consciousness maker, huh? I don't think so.
Did you listen to the thing? And the measurement was astounding. It was basically like 1/5 of a micron of a fucking atom.
You know what bugs me?
That's
Gary
so
will
big.
have.
But
Gary
so
will.
tiny.
Right, something's 1/5 of an atom. I guess I have to go back and find out what this crap is. Alright, maybe I'll just cut this video and I'll play this part just to see what kind of stupid shit they're gonna say.
Hey man, you know, it's some tragic circumstances and some not so tragic circumstances, but people still fucking die.
Yeah, well,
You know, look at...
I'll have to wait and play it. Alright, I'm not gonna, I won't bore you with their boringness. So, I'll be back. I figure I'll just end this video here. I'll make another video if necessary. Yeah, that's what I'll do. If necessary. So anyway, this is enough of a video. More than enough. Whatever. I could say sorry, but I'm not gonna bother. I'll do better next time, maybe. Possibly.